Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you something really exciting and powerful in the cybersecurity world. How to create a custom payload for the USB Rubber Ducky and use it to establish remote access through the Sliver C2 framework. Before we start, this is strictly for educational purposes only. Everything I demonstrate here is intended for authorized penetration testing and learning. Unauthorized access to systems you do not own or have permission to test it is illegal and can lead to severe consequences. So what you will learn in this video. We will cover what the USB Rubber Ducky is and how it works, how to generate a custom Sliver payload, how to host it and deliver it using the Rubber Ducky, and finally how to get a remote session back on our Sliver C2 server. So let's dig in. Let's start first with Rubber Ducky. Here I have some screenshots, and as you can see, this is Rubber Ducky USB flash drive. It looks like regular flash drive. So Rubber Ducky is penetration testing tool created by HackFi, and again it looks like a regular USB flash drive, but when plugged into a computer it acts as a keyboard and automatically types pre-programmed or payload keystrokes at superhuman speed. So once the payload is added to Rubber Ducky, and let me show you another one. So as you can see, I just opened this, and here's the micro SD card. So we'll be adding payload to this micro SD card, and again once the USB is plugged into the computer, it will run automatically the payload. So it open a command prompt or PowerShell, download and execute malicious files, and can change system settings and or exfiltrate data. It depends like on your payload. So there are like different types of payloads you can create and do so many things with this. Let me open my notes and show you my payload. Okay, so this is my original payload I created, and before I added this payload, I actually encoded using PowerShell. I will show you that in a bit. Let me just first explain each line. So it says delay 1500, that's 15 milliseconds, which is like 1.5 seconds. So it waits after the Rubber Ducky is plugged in. That kind of gives Windows time to recognize the USB device before typing begins. Then we have GUI R, Windows key, plus it runs a dialog. It opens run command box in the Windows. Then we have again delay for 0.5 seconds to make sure that run dialog is fully loaded before typing. The next command is string PowerShell. It types the full PowerShell command into the run dialog. So PowerShell launch PowerShell. And then we have execution policy bypass, ignores execution policy restrictions, normally blocks unsigned scripts. Then we have the next command -no profile, skips loading PowerShell profiles faster. And we have -window style hidden, which hides the PowerShell window from the user, and command -command executes the following string as a PowerShell command. So here inside those quotes where it says invoke web request -URI, and then we have HTTP, we have IP address, this is IP address of this machine, and we have called misleading underscore file.exe file. So downloads the file from our HTTP server. In this case, again, it's a Kali Linux. This is the IP address, and it saves to the system temp folder. It says here update.exe, and the last command start process, it executes the download file. So this file, this payload actually, I encoded using PowerShell. Let me show you that quickly. Okay, so here's the original payload encoded. As you can see, it's not perfect. This is just basic setup, but what we can do we can actually compile payload. We can do this. Let me go back to my notes. So let me copy this. So this payload we can compile using Hack5 Payload Studio. Let me quickly open my website. Okay. Oh, it's already here. So yeah, I think I did before. So here's the original payload. So I copy and paste here, and I can do this generate payload, and I think I already downloaded, but let's do it again, and I can download this. So this kind of compile payload, so do all those things, kind of encode the payload and make more stealthy. And once it's downloaded, so we can go here and cd downloads, and here, yeah, I downloaded this multiple times, but yeah, this is the file that I downloaded. So we can copy and paste this file to Rubber Ducky to SD microcard, but I didn't do that. I just used the one that I encoded and added to Rubber Ducky. Before we move on, let me just explain to you. So for this setup, we are using Sliver C2 framework. Let me close those windows. Oops, I will not close this one, but I will open the new one again. Okay, Sliver. Okay, so this is Sliver open source command and control C2 framework. I think it was created by Bishop Fox, and it's similar to tools like Cobalt Strike and Metasploit. So Sliver C2 framework handles listener management like HTTP, HTTPS, WireGuard, DNS, can generate payload for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, can handle sessions once implants connect back, basically once we get the connection from the target machine, and it's command execution and tasking framework for compromised hosts. So one more thing I forgot to mention, let me go here. So once we create the payload and we encoded the payload or compile payload using Hack5 Payload Studio, and let's say we already added the payload to Rubber Ducky, we have to generate that payload inside the Sliver framework, and this is kind of command. This is something that I used before for another machine, but here will be different IP address of this machine, and you will run this command inside the Sliver framework to generate the payload. I already did that, and what we need here to just set up a local HTTP localhost listener on port 80, and let's verify that. Okay, it works. Sessions, and as you can see, there is no session, so nothing connected. One more thing before we move on, I just want to mention, so this is, as you can see, it's Kali Linux machine, and we're using this machine to attack another machine which is Windows 11. So both of those computers set up on the same, oh, I'm getting session. Oh yeah, because the Rubber Ducky, it's already plugged in my another computer. I can show you quickly, but anyway, before I show you that, let me explain something. So yeah, both machines are connected. They're set up on the same subnet. They're on the same networks. Again, this is just like basic setup. It is much easier to make video with this kind of setup. But let's say we want to use Rubber Ducky for any computer, any network, so not just local area network, any network. So let's say you just give this flash drive to someone or whatever, so someone takes like the flash drive to different state, and it's totally different network, different computers. So for that setup, we have to kind of connect back to, it has to be, a C2 server has to be accessible over the internet. So we need a public accessible C2 server. And there's one option. For example, we can use virtual private server such as like AWS EC2 or DigitalOcean, for example. So those virtual servers, we can set up Sliver framework. We can modify firewall rules like HTTP 80, kind of open necessary ports like port 80 or port 443 for implants. And again, it will be a publicly accessible C2 server, in other words, accessible over the internet. And once the Rubber Duck is plugged in any network, we can get this kind of, as you can see here, session. So it's already connected, and I can show you. Let me just switch my camera. I hope you can see this. So this is the machine that we are attacking. Here's the Rubber Ducky. It's already plugged in. And let me show you quickly something actually. Let me plug this and plug it back. Maybe you can see how it runs. I don't know, can you see this? But yeah, it runs the script very fast. And again, you see we're getting it back to the session. And let's do this sessions. Yeah, as you can see, we have a session, a live session, ID number of the session. It's over HTTP port 80, and this is the IP address of the target laptop and the username. And as you can see, it runs Windows MD64, and we can do sessions -i, and let's do this one here. Copy. I think this is the last one that we connected. Yeah. And again, you remember there was misleading underscore file.exe that we set up on this machine, and it was downloaded over HTTP 80 for this machine, Linux, onto Windows machine. And let's do who have I? Okay, there we go. Info, and done. So what we did, we created custom payload for Rubber Ducky for PowerShell. We encoded that payload to make more like stealthy. We added to micro SD card, which is inside the Rubber Ducky flash drive, and we set up C2 server. We generated the payload for this file, and we set up HTTP server over port 80, so that once the Rubber Ducky runs script on target machine, so the file can be downloaded for the Linux machine. And we got remote connection, so we compromised another laptop which runs Windows 10. And there are like so many things that we can do with the Rubber Ducky. Again, it depends on the type of payload. We can customize payload, do so many things. We can set up backdoor, so once we unplugged the Rubber Ducky from target, so we still can have access, remote access to the machine. There are so many things that we can do. This is just, again, basic setup just to show you how it works. In my next video, I'm going to use OMG charging cable. It's a regular charger, but it's really similar to Rubber Ducky. It has, again, SD card inside the cable, if I'm not wrong. And same thing, you can add payloads, and once someone plug it in computer or cell phone, it will kind of run this payload, the script. One more thing regarding those scripts, they have to be customized to pass those antivirus like Microsoft Defender, EDR solutions. So it's not easy, but there is the way to customize the payload so it can pass those security kind of solutions for devices. So that will be all for this video, and thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.